ladies and gentlemen across all platforms. This is the Gaming Tangents Podcast.
Yeah.
That wasn't very
Thanks,
good,
Goofy.
but I can't be very loud either.
No.
So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't be loud. Unfortunately, I'm not in a empty house this evening.
Not an empty house. No empty nest.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're not that guy who was in that show. I don't remember what that guy's name was.
No, I'm not.
Remember that show?
I don't know.
It was like a spin-off of Golden Girls.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was. He was one of the Golden Girls' doctor.
Really?
I'm almost certain.
No, I didn't know that was a spin-off of that show.
I'm pretty sure. This is the kind of canter you can expect on this podcast, which is, of course, the official podcast of the cross-platform. This is the show where we talk about gaming's past, present, and future, and do our best to stay on topic. I am not the guy from Empty Nest. I'm Menji.
And I'm Maverick, and I'm still baffled as to how the Golden Girls got brought up on a Gaming Tangent podcast.
Gaming Tangents, people. Gaming Tangents.
Yeah. I
just wanted to get our first tangent just like right out the gate. Just out there.
Golden Girls, just
so that people know. That's where this show is going to go. If you're tuning into us for the first time, welcome. This is the kind of video game journalistic expose you can expect.
Yes, because clearly we're journalists. Well, all the research we've done and all our stuff, we are clearly journalists.
We did our research. We did
maybe last week.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, once.
See, so we're catching up.
There. That qualifies. It's the internet that qualifies as credentials.
Exactly. So how you been, man?
I've been good. It's been a busy week. I recently started school, so I'm remembering what
collegiate man
homework
are you?
life. Yep. I am remembering what homework
college
is like
boy.
Again. I squeezed in a little more KOF 14 time.
How's that
found
going?
a couple of new things, like we were talking about story and questioning some of the things, and then I realized that SNK has all the character stories on their websites.
Oh, well, that's handy.
What our research does.
What about the instruction booklet?
Oh, yeah, the instruction booklet that you look at online, because when has there been a game that came with an instruction booklet, at least recently here?
I don't have a PS4, so I don't know.
Oh,
do they not
PS4,
come with instruction booklets
Wii
anymore?
U, they don't come with them. They say look at the manual online on a PDF file.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that saves money in environments.
Saves money, but you know what? It just, in that sense, gaming has lost its charm. You know, because remember all the big, colorful instruction manuals that we used to get, and then eventually became, it's like they gradually started degrading in quality. Like it was color manuals, and then they became black and white manuals, and then after that, now it's PDF manuals.
Well, I mean, the writing's
digital.
on the wall, but at the same time, it's become more of a collector's thing. When we were kids, like that was just one of the many draws that they had for you to buy video games. Now they realize that most people don't read those damn things. Most people don't look at them. But now, because it's become such a massive media industry, like they can start doing things like selling all those big giant boxes you have sitting there behind your head that come with, art books and all kinds of crazy shenanigans inside of them.
Yeah, I mean, I can at least be grateful for this, that this collector's edition of King of Fighters had an art book. Like, it's not like a half-assed, 10-page art book. I'm looking at you, Capcom, with your 10th anniversary Mega Man 8 art book, which wasn't a book.
Take a breath.
But yeah, and all it had were the covers for every Mega Man game from Japan.
Dang.
Yeah.
Put a period in there somewhere.
I hardly call that an art book. Sorry. No, this was like a freaking
worst art book ever.
Thank you. No, this one I actually opened it up tonight for the King of Fighters 14. We opened it up tonight. I was looking through it with my girlfriend, and it had some concept art, it had some character art and whatnot, and even had a little quote here and there from like someone who designed either the stage, the character themselves, or the music for the character, just depending on which one it was. They weren't like real big excerpts, but they were noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like concept stuff. Like, I really like concept sketches and like concept art, like stuff that doesn't really look like the final product. Especially for animation in games, because I already know what the final product looks like. Like, I like watching the process and seeing how they got there, especially sketches. Like, those things will steal all of my monies.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and say that that's what it was. Most of it's like the official art, but then they have some concept art for some of the characters.
That's cool.
The Nightmare Geese, I think I mentioned it last time, is supposed to be a downloadable character on the game. And it's supposed to be a skin of Geese Howard, but he looks like a zombie.
Nice.
And I've seen the trailers for it, and his voice is like filtered, so he sounds a lot more demonic.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I don't think it changes like his gameplay style, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure on that. And I was right. The three characters, turns out, are from the pachinko machines. From the King of Fighters pachinko machines. The two characters from Another World stage, Loveheart and Moimoi. Or Momoy, I think is how you pronounce it. They're both from a King of Fighters pachinko machine, and so is Alice.
Thanks, SNK. That of all things that we wanted included in the KOF universe, it's your frickin' pachinko games.
But you gotta give them credit.
No,
they're doing the exact opposite
actually.
of what. Well, you gotta give them credit because they're doing the exact opposite of what Konami's doing. Instead of integrating all their characters into pachinko machines,
taking it back.
They're actually taking characters out of the pachinko machines and actually putting them in real games.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so you gotta give them that.
One of the things for me with whatever one of those characters' name was that she was a pirate, and I was already like, well, you already have a pirate girl in this universe. Why not just use her? I would have much rather have seen Jeanette than whatever that purple pirate girl is.
And you know what? I know it's funny. They actually brought that up in the art book.
Oh, did they really? See?
Yeah.
Like, why
it's
bother?
Very brief, but they bring her up. It's funny because it's spelled out B Jeanette, but it's actually B Jenny. That's how they pronounce it. But either way, they like say, well, we were kind of concerned because there's already a pirate character in the series, and she's been in KOF. She was in KOF 11, and she was in. If
you really want to stick to the whole Another World thing, because she's technically from that same world, if she's from the Fatal Fury universe, bring in Captain Kidd from frickin' World Heroes.
Right, because they do own the rights to the character now.
Yeah.
But then, well, you haven't played the game, but if you heard their theme music, the level that they have, would not fit Captain Kidd. That's all I'm gonna say.
Obviously, through the process of creating that team, they probably would have gone with another team theme song.
Yeah. Oh, and they probably wanted to stick with this. I don't know.
So you're saying they made the song first, and then they're like, "Oh, we're stuck with a girl team." Make them girls.
Probably.
No, I'm not writing another theme. You write another theme.
One other thing I noticed is that a lot of the songs, song titles in that game, have the word sky in them. At least 3 songs in there.
Interesting.
Let's call it. What's the saxophone under the moon? Okay, that's not one of them. Magical Sky, which is Another World theme. There's Survivors Under the Sky, which is the Ikari theme. There was another sky. Surprisingly, there's no Sunset Sky. Remember those?
No.
Sunset Sky? It was like the standard Neo Geo ending, and there was like Sunset Sky Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, the standard KOF ending song, you mean?
Well, it wasn't just KOF. It was across all their Neo Geo games.
Was it?
Like,
I never liked
Sunset
that
Sky.
song, and that's why I don't remember, probably.
Well, they were different songs. They were just Sunset Sky 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I never paid attention to that.
Yeah,
I usually had all of my soundtracks were typically ripped off of CDs that you had, so I never really studied the song titles.
Well, yeah, no, Sunset Sky was one of them, and I think when they recently came out, there was like the last Sunset Sky or something like that.
Oh, well, there you go, man. Again, this persnickety song creator, he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to budge, man. Once he decides on something, that's it.
Well, one thing, maybe you can explain this.
I wrote the last one. I'm not writing another one.
Maybe you can explain this. I think I brought this up in another podcast one time, but
I'll explain it again.
I mean, maybe because you understand Japanese culture a little more than I do, but do they try to keep things super simple when it comes to naming conventions? Because I remember, like, they said
Didn't I send you some Guilty Gear videos?
You sent me some Guilty Gear videos, yeah.
Okay,
which,
well, that should answer your question.
That looks like it also no, but I'm talking about like naming conventions because, like, well,
yes.
Yeah, Soul Bad Guys. What the hell kind of name is that?
What the hell kind of name is Xrd?
Yeah, that too. But what I was gonna say was that okay, and I'm not limiting this to video games, and I just noticed this kind of pattern when like it's almost like they can't think of a name, so they just call it new something. Like I remember the Naruto Shippuden, like the 10th opening was called New Song, wow, that's an odd name. When the Orochi team was first appeared, they were called the New Face team. I'm like, that's such a dumb name. You know, it's like, did you just not have a name for them, or did you really just, you know? It's kind of like that. Those whole scenes in the Simpsons. It's like, come up with something like Christmas 2, or was it Love Day?
Love Day.
It's like something just not so lame.
I've never, I've never picked up on anything like that. No, if anything, usually when they name things, at least if they name things in English, the titles are really long. In Japanese.
Well, yeah,
like they're really long. Like the names of some of their anime movies are like super long titles.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like some of the name of their episodes, for their anime episodes. Yeah.
So, but even longer than that sometimes.
Yeah. But either way, I've been going back to KOF. I've been playing a lot, not a lot, but what I can. I've gotten most of the game beaten with most of the teams, but I still haven't found all the matchups. And, you know, some endings have story elements, while others just don't. You know, so it just really depends. Like, of course, the standard Fatal Fury team and Art of Fighting team, they're just comical endings and whatnot. But then you got like these new teams like Team South America, and you think it's going to be like a normal ending, and then all of a sudden, like, the cynical twist happens somewhere in the middle of that ending before it goes back to the regular ending. You know, and I know you said you want to figure out things. I don't right now. King of Fighters 14 is a PS4 exclusive, so I don't know. And I looked at,
once they need money.
At the,
once there's like the King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition, where they have all the DLC, everything all packaged in there,
right?
Then it'll be like
kind of like what they did with King of Fighters 13 Climax.
Yeah, like a full release.
Right.
In fact, maybe they'll just call it King of Fighters 14 full release.
But either way, yeah, some of the endings, like I said, they're hinting at some things. Without spoiling the big thing in the Team China ending, I never knew, and I think this is known. I kind of lost track of the Fatal Fury storyline after a bit, if there was a story after Real Bout.
Okay.
And I never knew that other students of Tung Fu Rue included. What's his name? Chon Ray.
That makes sense.
And Chang.
Really?
Yeah.
That one I don't see as much.
Yeah, like, because like I said, there's mention of it in there, and there's another character. I'm not spoiling it by not saying who it is or anything, but I have my speculations as to who it's referring to.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, and of course, Geese was also, which I should have known. He was a student of Tung Fu Ru.
Yeah. That girl that's on their team fights a lot like Chonrei.
The girl that's on their team.
Shun.
Shunei?
No, that's the guy with the jacket. No, there's a girl that's on the Team China.
That's not a girl.
Alrighty.
You know, I played as a character the other day. You know what that character reminds me of?
What?
Do you remember those old Street Fighter 2 hacks where, like, you would throw the fireball and it goes super slow, and then you could, like, do combos,
right?
While the fireball is, like, heading your way.
Right.
That's what that character reminds me of.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters now that you can actually use that. And that's not even the only one. I've seen people do that even on that game. Like if you throw you can throw like a slow fan with Mai, and then run up to the character before the fan even gets to them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's what this character reminded me of.
It's kind of a common thing nowadays, at least with games where there's dashing or running.
Right. Well, that's kind of what that reminded me of, but otherwise, I've beaten it with most of the teams, and you kind of have to piece together what's going on, but I think I finally got it down. Plus, I also looked into some people's theories, and it makes sense. So, I really do. SNK was smart, basically. It seems like this game is a soft reboot.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's, again, I know you didn't want to spoil, so I'll let you figure out what I mean by that.
Well, I still need to finish 13, so yeah.
Yeah, well, and knowing your KOF lore helps a little bit in all this, you know.
Which I've been out of it for a little bit, quite frankly. Thanks, Playmore. It's your fault.
Yeah, this last storyline. You don't have to know too much about this last storyline because it seems to focus more on like Orochi related characters and Ness related characters.
I kind of remember that. That's already a while ago, though.
Right. So, but I'm still enjoying it, still having fun, and I'm starting to learn like actual. Well, I mean, not that I'm the greatest. I was never a great fighting game person, but. I'm starting to figure out some combos without having to rely on the rush combos.
I'm making a combo. Punch, fireball.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure.
Well, I got to play something this week, too.
What'd you get to play?
New. Well, if anybody who follows us on Twitter would know. Which there's like maybe 4 people. I decided to try out the Battlefield 1 open beta.
Oh, how did that go?
The horror. Wait, wrong war. It's cool. I like it. The only thing that's available is multiplayer. And there's...
Of course.
Huh?
Of course.
Which, yeah, obviously makes sense because that's like their biggest play base. But, so it's only one map and 2 different play modes for that map. So that's already kind of my first problem. I have a feeling I know why they chose this map is because it's kind of got a mix of everything that's offered in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like this, it's the Sinai Desert. And so it's just this big open space with like some mountains in the desert. And then there is kind of like a town all the way on like the north end of the map. And then there's just a bunch of points. And so the only 2 modes that you can play is kind of a take on capture the point, and then another take on like advance on the point. I don't know what these are called, but they're slightly familiar, like things that you would see in like Team Fortress or Overwatch, where it's It's like a King of the Hill, except there's multiple hills. So you're not just trying to be the king of one location. You're actually trying to take over multiple locations and maintain the majority of locations. And then there's another one where it's more like modes that I've seen in Team Fortress, where like you're constant, like one team is trying to attack and constantly move forward, and another team is trying to defend and keep the attackers from moving forward. And so those are the only two play modes, and they're both on the exact same map. But that map is, for me, it's really boring. I don't like desert locations, mostly just because they're all one single color,
wide open.
Yeah, they're wide open. It's just all, browns and more browns. Like with something when it comes to a World War game, like a lot of that was obviously fought in urban areas, and that's kind of more what I wanted to play. Like it would have been more fun to do something that was like in a European city, I think.
Right.
But again, I have a feeling that the whole reason they did it was because it's got a little bit of everything, so you can, do just your average, just running around on your feet. They have like tanks you can drive. They have jeeps. They have like gun-mounted jeeps. They've got planes that you can try, and horses. And so all that is available to you on this map, and it's just all chaos. You can kind of get organized with it, which I think is fun. But I really would have liked to have tried the campaign mode, mostly just for that aspect of it. Like I kind of want to get more into it and actually feel more like it's kind of a historical simulator, although they said that they're not going to try and stick as true to history. So that's, from what I understand, they are going to kind of stretch the truth a little bit with this game. But I still would rather have tried it rather than like capture this point, because that's what war is, right? It's just capturing points, apparently.
Right, because when I want accurate history, I go to Battlefield for my resources.
Right, but like I'd rather have played a story that felt like there's a mission rather than, keep capturing these same 5 points over and over again and make sure the bad guys don't get them. Like that feels more video gamey to me than something that's supposed to be more of a simulation of an event. So that's the only thing I didn't like. I would have liked to really try first player mode. Maybe they'll allow it because the game still doesn't come out till next month, so they've got some time. So they may roll out like a different version of the beta at some point.
Right.
So hopefully that happens. You can progress in the game. There is progression, so you can actually level up and start earning more weapons and stuff. So that's fun. I got to tell you that one of the most fun things that happened was like one of my first or two attempts in the game. I was just running along and I see this Jeep in front of me. Now, mind you, I have never played a Battlefield game in my life, and it sounds like you've even played more Battlefield than I have. So this may be a common feeling for a lot of people, but for me, this is the first time I experienced something like this. It was really neat. I saw the Jeep. It was a gun-mounted Jeep, so it was a big old, like, 50 cal or something, or whatever the equivalent of a 50 cal was back then, in the back of this Jeep. So I ran up, and it was just like, press a button to get in the Jeep, and I did, and it put me in the back on the gun. I was like, oh, this is cool, but nobody's driving. I guess somebody else has to get in the driver's seat. And then somebody else ran up into the Jeep and got in the driver's seat, and we just took off. And then this guy is just careening me through the desert like as fast as he can, like we're jumping over sand dunes and stuff, and I'm like flailing with the gun, like trying to shoot people. And I was like, oh my god, okay, this is actually kind of awesome.
Nice.
So that was fun. Stuff like that. And like the biplanes are actually a 3-seater. So it's like, remember Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, is the first time you can actually spawn, if there's an open seat in a vehicle, you can actually spawn right into that vehicle.
Oh, nice.
Which is also neat. So if somebody's flying a plane and there's an open seat on the plane, you can just spawn right into the plane. And so it spawns me into the rear gun of this biplane. The first thing I'm thinking is, son, I'm sorry. They got us. I just wanted to shoot the tail out, but I decided against it. But you can totally sabotage yourself on that game. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Hilarious.
But it's cool. So you're completely not in control of where you're flying, but you are in control of the gun. So there's a lot of trust that you have to basically have in the person that's controlling the vehicle, that they're not going to crash the plane. and that they can outmaneuver people when people start following you in other planes and trying to shoot you down. Like, you got to have trust that guy's, got some moves to not get shot. So it is fun in that respect. Like, there are some times where, just maybe a little bit of what do you call it? Post-traumatic stress. A little bit of that PTSD. A little bit of PTSD was popping up. Like, some sound effects were starting to get a little too realistic for me.
Right.
But
yeah, that's right. Because I forgot that you served
that whole thing about me being near explosions and guns and things. Yeah.
And wine bottles. Yeah.
It did kick on for a little bit. But I quickly brushed it off like it's a video game. But there are times where it does start to feel a little bit real, and I was like, oh, I got a low crawl, and jump down on the ground real quick. All right, 3-second burst and run, and John, get down.
So like having served and whatnot, we could say that? Well, I mean, this is Battlefield 1, and it's taking place in like a totally different era, but would you say these games are pretty accurate in what they provide?
What they provide, yeah. I mean, obviously you can't get too in depth. I'm sure things can get a little bit more, I don't want to say complicated, a bit more fluid if you actually, not a lot of people were using voice chat, thank God.
Right.
And so if you had a bit more communication with your squad, it could probably get a bit more intense. But outside of that, it's mostly, at least on this beta, it's mostly just a lot of chaos. And so that's completely inaccurate. You're never going to have that much chaos. There's going to be somebody kind of barking orders at you in the real world and stuff. So that part's, very, very different, obviously. I mean, there are, I kept getting, I don't know why, it kept making me a squad leader every time I played the game. And so you can't kind of give orders let's go take over that point. And then if your squad does go take over that point, it gives you some extra points. Things like that you can do. Nice. But aside from that, no, it's the sound effects are very real. And I know that they actually go and they'll actually record the sound of real guns, the actual different types of gun shooting and stuff, so they can get accurate sounds. And so that's the same way I felt about Call of Duty. What was that one that I played? Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3.
Yeah, it was the same way. The guns sounded really nice. It felt accurate. I really hate the sound of a flimsy, weak gun in a video game. Just because I've fired real guns. It's not that I'm a gun person, okay? Please don't misconstrue. I'm a sword person, actually. But if I'm going to shoot a gun, I want it to feel it's a gun. It's just, yes.
Right.
It needs to have some grit to it, So the guns do sound nice. And there's an annoying amount of kickback on some of those guns.
Well, all I have to say is that, really briefly, I'm going to tie this into Battlefield, but, I was looking at sales for KOF 14, and apparently it's sold as well as KOF 13 did, almost as well.
On just the one system?
So, yeah.
That's actually pretty good.
Right, exactly. So, and I don't know if they were comparing that to all across, both systems or just, the PlayStation 3.
Right.
But
most likely not, though, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
That?
I think they were talking about total. So, on one system, that's actually pretty good. I didn't even think about that. They have a really good chance. If they're trying to keep this clean as possible, they already released a patch really fixing some of the netcode issues and whatnot. It tells me that they're really trying to gain some steam on Street Fighter, especially since they really dropped the ball. Again, I know I keep bringing it up, but again, you have on release only 16 characters. I know there's more than that now, but on release you have 16 characters, and you got this game that looked like absolute crap when they first announced it, and granted, I'm not going to sit here and say the graphics are better than Street Fighter, because they're not, but for what they provide you and everything, they're good.
Yeah.
And be able to give you 50 characters and, you know, a small variety of gameplay and whatnot, not just some half-assed story mode, and that's it. And then the endings are long, like they're worthwhile.
That's nice
for the most part.
Yeah.
I found Art of Fighting's ending really pointless. Really pointless.
There's always going to be at least one.
Right. I mean, even Fatal Furies was kind of pointless, but it was at least funny, and you know. So, and they kind of they tied some things in, but I mean, like they give you your money's worth and everything. You're paying full, you know, $50. I heard one reviewer say, you know, if you think about it, that's $1 per character.
True
you
that.
know,
which equals to a lot of characters.
Yeah, and you got a variety to learn from, and it's easy for new people to pick up and whatnot. It sounds like they're really trying to gain some steam with the Street Fighter V audience, you know, anybody who was disappointed on that. And in my opinion, they're delivering. You know, I mean, they already, in 1 week, already fixed the netcode, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So... And, you know, apparently there's going to be some DLC for the game. You know, I think it's going to be in the form of costumes, just by looking at the Kyo DLC, which, as I showed you, you will probably have your parted hair team back.
Hooray!
Probably.
So he doesn't. It's not like classic Kyo where there was like, I forget which game it was that had both classic Kyo and like modern White Jacket Kyo. It's not like that.
Right, no, it's not like that.
Oh,
it's just a skin. It's like DLC costumes.
So no Fireball
basically.
Kyo. Sorry.
Yeah, but that doesn't rule out that they might include him. Oh, really quick before I get to my point with Battlefield, I will say that Art of Fighting team went back to more or less their KOF 96 move sets. You know, with the short-ranged fireball and everything.
That's weird. Is Robert still a charge character?
No, he's not a charge character anymore. That's what I was about to say.
God.
Robert, the one that they always experiment with, because he's always the experimental character.
It's true. I never even thought about that.
They actually kept him... Yeah. No, they kept him the traditional character this time.
Oh, thank God.
He actually has the long-range fireballs and the traditional moves. I think about the only thing he's lacking is... Actually, no, he didn't have an air fireball. Never mind.
No, he had the kick.
He's more or less the straight man in this one.
Oh, good. Robert was always my favorite out of that team.
So, anyway, going back to it, what I was trying to say is that SNK really is trying to pick up on the whole Street Fighter V debacle. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Right.
I mean, it's like they... I don't remember KOF 13 getting this much promotion. I remember getting a promotion, but not like this.
Yeah.
You know? If EA plays their cards right, I really do think that they could win over a lot of the Call of Duty audience, because it's strayed so far from what it's become, and they're banking on this reissue of Advanced Warfare, or was it Modern Warfare, the first one, to sell the game. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, because next week the Call of Duty in Space open beta comes out. So then you'll have competing open betas at the same time.
Yeah, but you know,
so we'll see.
I don't know.
I between the two games that I've tried now, I definitely would rather play Battlefield 1.
Right. And you got to give it to EA that they do try to do things different, because I mean, the last one was Battlefield Hardline, which wasn't military, but it played like a military game from what I understand. But, you know, they tried to do it with cops and robbers.
Yeah.
And it didn't do well, but you got to give them props for trying something different.
Yeah, seriously. Like, they looked at that and realized that everybody was, like, we're tired of playing the same thing over and over again.
Well, right, and okay, let me clarify that, because I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail if I don't clarify. Because I mean, Call of Duty in Space is something different, but what I'm saying is something different, but is still grounded in reality, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Whereas Call of Duty is kind of just going further and further into like this, like a sci-fi action.
Right.
Yeah, Battlefield's trying to keep it grounded.
Exactly.
Makes
and
sense.
So
and that was honestly that's a bold move to go back to a world war in an era where people kind of keep saying that they're sick of World War II.
Right.
So, I mean, at least they're trying a different world war, but just saying world war, I have a feeling may make people think that it's basically just the same old game again.
Right.
But it's very different.
And they're trying to bring that dynamic into the game, and hopefully it'll win over a lot of people. Now, I'm not a big Call of Duty Battlefield person. I mean, everybody knows that now, but I don't blame the fans for being upset over Call of Duty in space, whatever the hell it's really called. I'm just going to call it Call of Duty in space because that's what it freaking is.
Yeah, I think it's Advanced Warfare 3, isn't it?
No, it's Infinite Warfare.
Oh, you're right. There it is.
Yeah, something like that. But you know, let's be honest. They are just trying to bank on that. They're trying to bank on that game selling with the reissue of Modern Warfare.
Well, that and just the fact that it's called Call of Duty.
Right. So, exactly.
So we'll see. I mean, between still Battlefield and Overwatch, though, I would definitely still rather play Overwatch, but that's just where my own personal tastes come in. Because I still like the idea of having a character. Like, you jump into Battlefield, and you can, like, customize your guy, and there may even be an opportunity in the full version to actually, like, kind of do, like, a slight of creative character. But at least on this beta, like, they just give you an avatar, and off you go. And that's everybody plays exactly the same, unless you're a medic. Where I like games with a personality. That's what I loved so much about Team Fortress 2, was that all every character had a personality, and Overwatch is basically Team Fortress 3. So,
right, and I still would love to play Overwatch. I mean, when
you got a chance coming up.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that chance, but, you know, if I do enjoy it when I get the chance, I am going to be getting that game. It's just a matter of when that can happen, you know?
Yeah.
But it just looks fun, and, you know, first-person shooters aren't really my type of games to begin with, and for me to really be interested in this is a big thing to say, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was basically the same way, aside from the game that I screwed up last time. Aside from Unreal Tournament, the first game to really get me into FPSs was Team Fortress 2, and again, it was that personality. It was all those character intro videos that they had at the beginning that really hooked me, and I was like, well, damn it, I actually want to try this out to see if it, like, lives up to these videos, and it actually did. And then the videos kept getting more and more intricate as time went on, and it was fun to be a part of that as it started. When the Orange Box came out, it was fun to actually kind of be with Team Fortress as it started as just kind of vanilla Team Fortress and grew and grew and grew. So I hope the same happens for Overwatch. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to buy into Overwatch yet. But hopefully soon, because that game was a lot of fun. And that's the other thing that I think really worked in Blizzard's favor. And I think they probably did this knowing that they were coming into it as the company that's never made an FPS, and so they knew that they had even though they were Blizzard, they still had a bit of a hill to climb just to prove to people that they could make something other than an RTS. Right. Or a MMO, and so the fact that they released Overwatch and it's like, boom, here is the whole game, enjoy for the weekend. Like, I thought that was brilliant, and I guess that's what makes this Battlefield 1 beta a little disappointing for me, is that it is just like, oh, here's a little taste. It's a taste.
Right.
Like, at least if you're gonna, at least if you don't, like, I can understand, because this game, unlike Overwatch, there is a storyline campaign. So if you don't want to include that, I totally understand. But they should have like had all, or at least, you know, half the multiplayer maps, just to get more of a feel of it. Because right now I just feel like it's a bunch of people fighting in the desert, and that's like my only impression of it.
Well, and they're probably going for the audience who's already there, or they're probably trying to reach for the Call of Duty audience and whatnot. They're probably not trying to reach out to new gamers just yet, you know. Overwatch, with this thing that they're doing this next weekend, the game has been successful, and now they're focusing on trying to bring in new players. Clearly, that's what it is.
Exactly.
They wouldn't be offering it for free, and it's made enough money to where, we can afford to do this for one weekend.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe they'll be doing that with if EA's smart, they'll do the same thing. And I just like with SNK. I think EA is going to try to play its cards right, because the last two Battlefield 4 eventually gained some ground once they fix all the patches after their abysmal launch, and it has a following, but it was a rocky start, and then Battlefield Hardline failed. So hopefully they're trying to play their cards right. They have an opportunity here, because look at the the negative reception that Infinite Warfare got.
Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I don't blame them, because and I haven't even seen all the footage, but if you really do have machines jumping off walls and everything, it's like, well, why don't they just play Titanfall then?
Because people forgot about Titanfall like a week after it came out.
Yeah, they're coming out with a second one.
That was a surprise to a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
I wasn't interested either. So hopefully none of those games, or at least this game, will be a disappointment. Hopefully Overwatch won't be a disappointment for you. Hopefully Battlefield 1 won't be a disappointment for people. I would like to try the full game again. I don't have the kind of cash to be forking over for brand new release games, but at some point I would definitely like to to try out the full game.
No, I completely understand.
And not be disappointed.
I am excited because speaking of games, I can't really, unless the overtime picks up again, I'm not going to be able to pick up anything else for the rest of the year. But one announcement that did catch my attention this week was the release the scheduled release of Super Mario Maker for the 3DS.
Oh, so they are making it.
Yeah, totally, which I was really hoping they would do. And I am excited. I'm a little disappointed that there's going to be some features taken out of it.
Cha-ching.
But at the end of the day, making levels is still fun. It's not going to have the full amiibo support like the Wii U version does. It's going to have amiibo support, just so you're not going to be able to use the custom Mario option. And not all the Wii U levels are going to be compatible with the 3DS level, but they are still cross... what's the word? Not cross-referencing.
Cross-platform.
They're cross-platforming then. Yeah. They are...
How did you
going to
forget?
be cross-platform for the most part.
You're so fired.
I am very excited for that. But otherwise, now it's I know there's been a lot of gaming news and stuff I don't really want to touch upon because it's just some.
Well, PAX is happening right now, and so that's
something for next week.
Yeah, basically, that's a lot of it's dropping. They had something that had there was a new trailer for Friday the 13th game.
So I've heard.
Which looked gory. I don't know if I'm just getting older or if this is just a bit more gruesome than any of the movies, but I was watching the trailer that just dropped this morning, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play this.
I don't know. I'm
not sure what it is.
Maybe you're getting older. Who knows?
Either that or I just assume that probably the effects in the movie, you can always tell when it's an effect.
Right.
Or something like that. And this is like a video game, so it doesn't change. Somebody's head doesn't suddenly change into something that looks suspiciously like a watermelon, right?
Right.
And so maybe that's why.
Yeah, shoot. I'll see if I'm going to have this play in the background here. Gonna have it muted though.
What?
So, the Friday the 13th trailer. Yeah, just to see what you're talking about. So people can
hear you in the background, just ugh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god.
Is it supposed to have this 80s look to it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
That's the one. It's got like this weird 80s hairband song playing. That's the one.
Song called 13.
Yeah, 13. That's the one.
He does the eye thing. Okay, I think he's done that in the movies.
Probably everything that he's done in that game, he's done in the movies. Just for some reason, to me, I don't know. It was just kind of like, oh god, this is a bit much. There should be a rating system.
Yeah, there should. Rated E for everyone. Whoa. Okay. Still not too bad. So, that's new. Wow, that's gruesome. That's actually kind of fun.
Yay. Which is weird because when I played Mortal Kombat, that never happened. The remake.
Right.
The reboot. Speaking of last week's episode. Was that last week? No, that was already a few weeks ago. My god.
Oh.
How did that one not ever come up in that episode?
What? The
Mortal Kombat reboot.
You know, I don't know. Probably because I haven't really played much of it.
It was really good. Just to piggyback off that episode we did a few weeks ago, that reboot was really good as well. It wasn't disappointing.
Like some games.
Some games are disappointing, Maverick.
Well, yeah, I know.
There are times you're excited for a game. You cannot wait. You save all your quarters in your little Snoopy piggy bank and wait for that day when you can go to Toys R Us and pull that little tab off of the rack so you could take it to the little secret closet and get your game. But you take it home, you pop that game in, and it's fun for about 5 minutes till you realize, my God, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be.
Has this happened to you?
Disappointing game. It has happened to me. This is an ongoing epidemic. I mean, honestly, I try. I think hopefully we both try. I've definitely tried to keep things positive on this show. Definitely like to talk about things that are great, things that are fun, games that, are awesome. But every now and then it happens. Like, I don't want to be like one of those people that's kind of soured on every game that's got one little nitpicky thing that just ruins the whole thing for me. But there just are some games that you pick up hoping and expecting the world, and just it can't deliver on any single front whatsoever.
So what game would that be for you?
What games would that be for me? Well, you know what's funny?
I know there's a couple, but
there's a couple. There's more than a couple. You know what's funny is that I noticed as I was thinking about this before we started, even though we just spontaneously came up with this topic right now, is that it's kind of two-pronged. I looked at disappointing games when we were younger differently than I do nowadays.
Well, nowadays we kind of, clearly it's a whole lot different than when we were younger.
It is. So a lot of times when we were young, games that you were like very hyped and excited for, there's either two kinds. They were either a sequel to something you've already played and enjoyed, or it was based off of some property that you really enjoyed, typically a TV show or a movie.
Right.
And so that was the only expectations you ever had. There was very limited E3 coverage back then, if any, and it was always just magazine spreads and whatever was the opinion of the person who wrote the article, about what they experienced. And that was it. And the back of the box, once you finally saw it in the store. That was the extent of it. Whereas now it's trailers and press conferences and teaser trailers and beta playthroughs and all this kinds of thing that now hype is kind of built for us, whereas back in the day, like, we kind of built it up ourselves.
Right. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and so there was never any expectation of what the game would be, other than we hope it's like either, the last one or like that show that I really like or that movie.
Right.
Whereas now, like, they try and skew your hype to thinking that the game is going to be a certain way, and then whether or not they deliver on that specific hype is a whole other thing.
Like No Man's Sky?
Yeah, so like No Man's Sky. So I guess a lot of people are down on No Man's Sky now, which was a game that a lot of people obviously were very excited for at when they announced it way back. It was like 2-3 E3s ago now.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm not real big on just kind of like open exploration games. Like for some reason, this to me seemed like another version of Spore. Do you remember Spore?
Wasn't that the same concept? You travel to a different planet, but instead you're trying to grow your own human or something like that?
Your own
or
creature. Yeah, you're trying to be God, basically.
Right.
And so that's what this. So this was, from what I understand, it's more like it's more of a Star Trek approach to where you're exploring new life and new civilizations. I guess there is actual point to the game is to get to the center of the universe. And
right.
a big problem right off the bat, I think, was that somebody had already done it before the game officially came out. I think it was the kid that bought it early for like $10,000 or whatever crazy it was.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
People were really hype on this game when it was first announced. I was just kind of like, it looks nice, but I wasn't down on it, but I also wasn't like, oh my God, that looks like the most amazing thing ever, because I could already see all the different things that could go wrong with it.
Right. I remember when I heard about the game and I heard about what its potential was and everything, like, oh, that's an interesting concept, and but I couldn't really keep on the hype because all I kept thinking in the back of my mind is that's a little over ambitious.
Yeah, like what? I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, because they never ever talked about anything outside of the exploration. Apparently, there is a bit more to it. There is like kind of foraging and things like that, like trading and all kinds of things. But like that's about it. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like the game has much of a story. Which, for a game that expansive, I feel it would probably really benefit from some sort of a story. And if you're gonna be like real big and expansive and have all these like randomly generating planets and stuff, then your story needs to be pretty damn complicated and branching. And there's no way you were going to be able to follow through with that. Now, again, this is not my disappointment. I wasn't disappointed in the game because I did not have such high expectations in the first place. But a lot of people clearly have been, because their player base has nearly vanished in these last few weeks since it came out.
Well, and you gotta also remember that, again, we are older than a lot of the gamers who were hyped for this game.
No, there were people that just the same age as us.
Big hype on this game. I'm not saying that there weren't people like that, but I mean, let's we have to be a little honest here that a lot of the younger generation, not everybody, all right, I'm making that clear now, not everybody, but there are a lot of gamers just like anybody else here that have this sense of entitlement.
These young whippersnappers today in the hippity-hop musics with their MC Hammer pants and...
They have this sense of entitlement, and they have these high expectations on what this game should be. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they don't deserve to be angry, because from what I'm hearing with a lot of the stuff that's going wrong with this game, or stuff that hasn't been fulfilled, this guy made a lot of promises that he couldn't keep. Okay, but there also has to be that, and chalk it up to being young, because we were like this too. You have these high expectations for things, and then they don't come through. So when they say nowadays, remember Watch Dogs a couple of years ago, when it was supposed to look absolutely gorgeous, and then the game didn't look nothing like that when it came out on the home consoles, but on the PC they actually they nerfed the graphics, and you could actually have all those textures and whatnot, but they didn't allow it because they didn't want it to compete with the other consoles, or or outbeat the other consoles or whatever the term is. Sorry, I'm kind of sleepy, so it's my vocabulary sucks tonight.
Right.
There has to be some kind of middle ground when it comes to these expectations. Like, they're going to promise all this stuff and probably deliver on half of it. In this case, probably it was less than half of what he was able to provide. So I don't blame a lot of these people for jumping ship, but then these people who are going absolutely overboard with their disappointment, those are the people who get me. I've actually tried to stay away from it just because that whole situation a couple of weeks ago with the whole No Man's Sky's been delayed for another couple of weeks, and some people base their life on this game. I want to know what that one kid is thinking, that one person who made the death threat against the journalist, the Kotaku journalist. I want to know what his disappointment was like and what threats he made this time around.
Yeah, if you're a listener, call in. I'd like to ask you. I see, and maybe it's because I didn't read that much into the game, so I didn't follow it. I wasn't following the director on Twitter and all these things. I wasn't reading up on it. So all the information that I got was from whatever trailers they would put out, and right. All the trailers that they put out, it turned into the game that I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where all this other extra information is that people are getting. Who knows how much of it? I guess you said that like this guy made some promises of what the game could do and didn't deliver on that. So that's starting to be a little too typical lately, especially like what you said with the Watch Dogs. So the thing that was different there for me is I was one of those people that was hugely hype on Watch Dogs.
Well, yeah, I kind of picked up on your hype for that
because it looked amazing, and it wasn't the way it looked for me because I'm not a graphics guy, that. Right. There was something about the gameplay, about the things that it alluded to allowing you to do in the game that in the end did not work in practice when the game finally came out. That's right. Where I know a lot of people's disappointment was with that game. Whereas this game, from the moment I saw it, I knew it was going to just be this. Like, it was just going to kind of be a real mundane drudge, and you were going to eventually lose focus of the point of it all.
Yeah, I honestly, to be honest, I didn't hear about this game until this past summer. I'm talking about 2016. I did not hear about this game.
Oh, wow.
So I don't have a lot invested in it. I've just kind of here for the aftermath,
Yeah.
And it looked interesting, and the concept seemed interesting. And if they patch it up and whatnot, and can fix these flaws that they're talking about, then yeah, I would probably hop on board because I think it's an interesting concept. But with all the negative hype and everything, they're saying that you're supposed to be able to run into other players, and apparently that's one thing that major that's not happening. So I don't know.
Really, I heard that you could just visit other people's planets. I never heard anything about running into other players.
And see, that's what part where I get confused because I've heard that too. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot invested in this. Yeah. So I'm sorry, but I don't really care.
I don't. None of it matters. It's all.
I
make pretend.
I feel bad for the people who are really looking forward to this, though, because I know what it's like to look forward to a game that's been overly hyped, only to be severely disappointed.
Oh, do give an example, please.
Shit.
As I put you on the spot.
Yeah, it put me on the spot and I can't think of it. I had a few. I can't think of any games off the top of my head that I was anticipating just yet. If you want to go back to the olden days and you want to go back to a series that I was just excited about, namely on brand alone, was Mega Man 5.
Mm-hmm.
Mega Man 5 and 6, which aren't the most popular games in the series. Even I was in denial over how not great that game was.
Yeah, you tried to upsell it to yourself.
Excuse me?
Tried to upsell it to yourself.
Yeah, and I remember I kept saying, telling my parents that my sister wanted the game because she really wanted to play Mega Man really bad, and then I was the one who ended up playing the game. And it just seemed kind of rushed, and I don't know how many Mega Man games you played before you stopped.
It wasn't so much that I stopped. There was a point where I started to kind of just jump on and off at will.
I see. Well, okay, so starting with the graphics, I felt the graphics were a little more bland, even though they tried to be better. When it comes to graphics, I think Mega Man 2 and 3 were at its prime, at their prime. Especially Mega Man 2, of course, the graphics were excellent for the time, and then Mega Man 3 tried to hone in on that, and they, in my opinion, they managed to capture that same charm. But once Mega Man 4 came around, then the graphics kind of started to take a dip, but they still had, that quality to it that, yeah, this is still a good game, I'm interested in it. And then they tried that new twist where, like, it was a new doctor and it ended up being Dr. Wily all along. The first time around, right. Yeah, that was cool, but then it was in Mega Man 6 and Mega Man 5, and I was like, okay, now this is getting old,
Yeah.
Especially Mega Man 6, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. The Mr. X,
Mr. X.
At which you could tell it was Dr. Wily, even
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yeah, you could tell it was Dr. Wily. It wasn't like you were fooling anybody,
Was that the one where it was just him in shadow, but it was like definitely his silhouette?
No, it wasn't even that. It was he wore glasses and a fake beard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, and a cape. He had a cape.
Ooh. Now I know how to fool people when I go to rob a bank.
Which they gave Dr. Wily a cape in Mega Man 8, by the way. They got lazy once Mega Man 5 came around because, like I said, the graphics were kind of bland. Almost all the weapons were pretty useless. And then when you got to the final stages, there was a little variety in music, and they didn't do that this time around. They just kept the same song for both, if the Proto Man stage and then the Dr. Wily stage. They each had their own song that played through all 4 levels, where at least it would change every now and then with the previous 4 games. Yeah. And then they didn't start doing that again until Mega Man 7.
Maybe that's the game where they decided to try and give Keiji Inafune a bit more control.
Right.
Let's pull back on those reins.
So speaking of disappointments there, now I haven't played Mighty Number 9. To me, from what I've seen, it looks like something I would enjoy personally. But again, I didn't have a lot invested in this game, and the mess that this game turned out to be, people are complaining about King of Fighters graphics and everything like that. No, this game looks like a PS2 game.
Yeah, it does. I would go as far as to say it looks like a handheld game.
Yeah, it's just all the time that they put into it, and they dropped the ball in it, and this is a disappointment on a number of levels because this is supposed to be the fans' game,
right?
And I don't know if it was Inafune or one of his PR guys or somebody who just was at one point like, you know what, screw it, I don't want to deal with these guys anymore. We're gonna do what we want, and no one's gonna trust this guy again, and it's like. Yeah, it's like you gave these high expectations. You told the fans, "Hey, we can put some input in this and whatnot, and everything." And then you keep delaying the game for apparent net issues or whatnot and everything like that. And at the end, the game ends up being more or less a massive disappointment.
Yeah, he's got a big hill to climb now to push Recore, because, like it or not, Mighty Number 9. His reputation is affecting Recore.
Right, and remember when everyone was excited? Like, I was looking on my Facebook the other day, and it's Facebook Memories, and I was like, "Oh, Mighty 909 is coming out. I'm pretty excited about this." That was 2 years ago, and I was like, "Wow, it's kind of hard to believe that it was that long ago."
Yeah,
and all the excitement that had been surrounding it and everything. And then they finally release it, and it's buggy as hell. Graphics are awful, and I'm not gonna say again. We've talked about that. The graphics don't make the game. You know, to me, again, it still looks like a fun Mega Man-esque game.
Yeah,
you know, but they made a lot of promises that they didn't deliver in that game.
Yeah, my two biggest problems with that: the music is crap. First off. Everything that I've heard sounds terrible, and then the dialogue just makes me want to stab myself in the ear.
Cheese and crackers, are you serious?
You had more inflection in that delivery than any of the voices in that game. And you said it faster.
Well, what gets me also is on that game, again, with those characters, a PS4 game. Okay, you couldn't make their mouths move.
I know, right?
You know, and it's like, again, I get it. Again, I'm going to reset. Graphics don't always make the game.
It's not even a graphics thing.
But,
that's a visual storytelling thing. It has nothing to do with how nice it looks. It's just you could put, you know, a mouth graphic. You could just do the anime mouths, and that would have made a whole world of a difference.
Right. And they didn't do it. So I mean, that game faltered on a whole lot of levels.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what concerns me, is because it's not, you know, this isn't just some guy who said, "Oh, we're gonna bring you this," and then they didn't follow through. You know, this is Kenji Inafune.
Yeah,
and
we put our faith in you, sir.
Had so much faith in this guy, only for him to let all his fans down.
Right.
And he did a Kickstarter for this.
Yep.
You know, who's gonna want to do this now? I mean, I've been hearing. I've heard a lot of stories about Kickstarters just going. You know, all right. I just heard the other day. It happened a couple of months ago, but I just heard a couple of days ago about a story about these guys who were supposed to make a 3D printer, and the guy just flat out confessed that I used the funds to build my house.
Ooh.
You know, shit like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I have to send you the link to the story on that one, because it's pretty crazy.
You know what's funny is a lot of the like the big name Kickstarter projects, they've never really lived up to what was promised. So like Mighty Number 9 up there. There was a game that Tim Schafer did like a half of it Kickstarter for a Double Fine game that was like, it was okay. Definitely looked a lot better than Mighty Number 9, but still wasn't like lived up to the hype kind of a thing.
Right.
And of course the biggest one, the Ouya, huge flop in the end. Everybody was so behind it. One of my best friends is like not much of a gamer guy, but he was like, I think I'm gonna buy this Ouya thing because it's just this little cube and it's got hundreds of games on it and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, you do that. Luckily he never did, but because dang, like just I was like, really, Android games on a console, the mobile games. Does that really sound like fun to you?
I mean, well, not only that. I mean, if you have an iPad or if you have a tablet, you can just run an HDMI cable to the television and play it through there.
Yeah.
So what's the point? I
don't know. That goes back to the whole thing of like, there's a sect of people that just think video games are video games, and then there's those of us that kind of know that there is a difference between mobile games, console games, arcade games, and like handheld games even. put in a different category. Like there's different types of experiences on all those different types of platforms. They do not cross.
They do not cross.
Let me tell you about a movie.
Yeah, I mean...
Can I?
Well,
are we going to keep talking about this?
So sure. Go ahead and bring up a movie.
Okay, there's a movie. We like to talk about movies here. It's a movie I like.
Getting off topic?
Movie I love from the 80s.
Okay.
Still hearing a lot about it lately. Back to the Future. Right?
Yeah. Yes, I still haven't seen this.
You gotta catch up. Tamara's even seen it now.
Yes, I know.
Great movie. Great trilogy. I actually like all three of those movies. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Then Back to the Future came out on the Nintendo. Everybody talks about this one, I know. So it's almost cliche to do it at this point, but it's got to be brought up. This Back to the Future game, like the quintessential LJN game.
Right.
Like this property that's super popular turned into this game that has little to nothing to do with the movie itself. Terrible. I found minimal enjoyment in it, and that's just because I was a kid. If I were to play it now, I would have been really annoyed with that freaking game.
I remember when you brought that to my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this all you do?
Just walk and find bowling balls.
I hardly remember you doing any of that stuff. The only thing that really stood out for me was when you had to play that horrible rendition of Johnny Be Good.
The guitar.
Yeah,
Catch the notes.
That's the only thing I remember from that game.
Yeah. Like, talk about a disappointment.
Well, yeah, and again, you're right. We had to rely on. Back then, it was easier for game companies to get away with it because they relied on the popularity of a movie to sell the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I haven't really had that because I learned early on not to trust movie-based titles on consoles. Yeah. The only one I kept hearing was really good and I never played it was True Lies for the Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. I actually heard that was a really good game.
Oh, wow.
But how about games you've picked up just based on the box art? Have you ever done that?
Oh, man. Have I ever done that? Have I ever done that?
I'm going to assume
I feel like, yes, I did, but it turned out to not be a disappointment. At least the one that I'm thinking of. Oh, I know one, though, next to that. Not so. This is again just based on more of like a video game brand, and I actually mentioned this game a few weeks ago. Also, Shining in the Darkness, which was an offshoot game of Shining Force, Sega's short-lived role-playing game series, was a huge departure. So this was on the Saturn. Mm-hmm. Which was lacking in RPGs, unfortunately, like massively. The reason why I bring it up is because the game I was thinking of was Albert Odyssey. Also on the Saturn.
I remember you loved that game.
Yeah, I loved that game, and that I did specifically buy because the box art was literally just Japanese box art. It was Japanese anime. They didn't try to redraw it with an American artist or any kind of crazy bull crap. And in the back of the box, like it looked like an updated version of an old, turn-based JRPG. And it turned out that's exactly what it was. It was great. The music was amazing. The Sega Saturn version of Albert Odyssey, go find it. It's actually a really good game. And it's two stories in one.
Yeah, I remember there was I remember learning years later that there was a Super Nintendo version, Super Famicom version.
I have it. I did buy it.
Oh, nice.
I have it now, yeah. But the Saturn one was great. And yeah, so it's cool because you get halfway through the game and there's one end boss at that point, and then the story ends, and then it starts a new story with some of the same characters from the first half of the game. And then it takes on a new story. So that game, I had so many good memories of that game. But Shining in the Darkness, not so much. So Shining Force was a game series on the Genesis. I believe they got up to 3 of them. And these were more like turn-based tactics type games. So think Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea, something like that. So you're all your characters are on a grid, and then you're taking turns moving your pieces around, and things like that. And so those games were always real fun, and because you always had a big group of characters, because it was an army, and all the characters typically would all have their own little personalities, kind of like if you've ever played Suiko, then you have to collect all the different characters, and so it was a lot like that. And then you usually had like one or two main characters who follow you through the whole game. And so those games were always really fun. The music was great. The stories were fun. So I got Shining in the Darkness. I was like, all right, it's another Shining game. This one, I mean, even by the box art, I could tell that it was going to be different, but I still dove in anyways, just in case. So this one was actually more of a first-person single-character RPG. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was single character. Much in the way of like the old like Shadowrun games on the PC and the NES.
Shadowrun?
You never played Shadowrun? Or like think the levels in Goonies 2 when you walk inside of a building.
Are you sure you weren't thinking Shadowgate?
Is that what I'm thinking of? Shadowgate. Shadow something.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Shadowrun was a Genesis game.
Okay.
But,
and then that one may also have been kind of the same thing. But like... So it's like that Goonies thing.
The first Phantasy Star, kind of.
Kind of, except you don't see your characters on screen at all.
Well, yeah, you didn't... Well, no, okay, at all.
Didn't you see the back of their heads, don't you? Oh, yeah, you never see... It's always first-person view.
I see. And see, Phantasy Star was only in the dungeons.
Right, and so it's just... My memory of that game was just empty, boring, and quiet. Those are the three words I would use to describe it.
Right.
Which was sad, because I was really excited for another Shining game, because after Shining Force, I'm pretty sure there was a Shining Force 3. After that, never again Shining Force ever showed up again. And this is kind of all we had. And this game, I don't remember much about it. It was so boring, so repetitive, and just like a whole lot of nothing. I could not tell you what the story of that game was or anything.
Right. Well, what you call it? I remember a game I picked up, which I don't know why I picked it up. It wasn't even based on the box art. It was just on the concept. A Nintendo DS game, and apparently there was a PS version of this game too. It was an RPG called Rhapsody, a musical adventure.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, this is different. And I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of looking for an RPG. So I picked it up. It's for the Nintendo DS, like I said. And it's what it was. It was an RPG, but there were some events that were musical numbers.
All right.
And I think after hearing the first song, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I wouldn't say more of a disappointment, more of I didn't give it a chance.
Yeah.
Just because it just didn't appeal to me.
Right.
Like, because for one thing, the music was translated to English. Music translated from Japanese, from Japanese to English isn't always the best.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other game. Oh, here's a game that disappointed me. And I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Phantasy Star 3. That game disappointed me, and that was one that I kind of took a step backwards because I had already played Phantasy Star 4, and I was thinking, wow, if Phantasy Star 4 is this good, Phantasy Star 3 must be awesome. So I go back, and the music's awful, the graphics are awful, I don't understand the story, and I was just like, no. And this was back when KB Toys was still around.
Oh man.
And I took that back and was like, no, I can't do this. Give me something else.
I don't want my money back. No, just keep it.
Yeah, put it back in your bargain bin. I don't want it. Like, no wonder it was so cheap, And I was just like, no, I can't do this. Otherwise, another game that I picked up that I didn't like, and I brought this one up, I know for sure, especially during the early days of the podcast, Enindo, Way of the Ninja.
Oh, you have mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, hated it. Hated it. When I looked at the back of the box, I thought it was going to be something like Final Fantasy, which, in all fairness, it did look like it had that kind of similar layout and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, the graphics were crap.
Oh, man.
You know, I mean, it was. I mean, you're familiar with music. You know the square sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you got hit, it would like make a little beeping noise with that sound, and like a beep 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 beep, like that.
Weird.
And I'm like, wow! In Final Fantasy, they actually have an animation where they actually get hurt. In this one, your character just shakes and it makes a little funny noise. Like, oh,
Gotta save money where we can.
Right.
No one's buying
and
the
that,
mystical ninja.
Yeah, no, this is a game that originated in Japan, I'm pretty sure, but was like too Japanese for me.
Interesting.
Like it was like very it was like a period piece almost.
Oh, okay. So, kind of like those Romance of the Three Kingdoms games?
Kind of, except that, of course there were fantasy elements in there because I'm pretty sure there weren't giant rats, terrorizing the fields or anything,
Not that I've heard of, no.
No, but another game that disappointed me.
Load them up.
This is the other trip that my parents took, and I wanted to pick up a game to keep myself entertained.
Okay.
I picked up Beyond the Beyond for the PlayStation.
Oh, why does this sound familiar?
It was the first big RPG on the PlayStation 1 from what I can remember. This was before Final Fantasy VII came out.
Before Wild Arms?
And before Wild Arms.
Okay.
This is Beyond the Beyond. And what a piece of garbage that game was.
Beyond anything good.
32-bit graphics. Your characters are walking around the overworld. Hey, do you know what you're going to do? Yes, no. I pick no. How does the character respond? His head throbs.
Alrighty.
His head throbs. Think about that for a second.
Don't wanna.
I was just like,
because that sounds disgusting.
And then the battle scenes, like, they look decent, but it's like the rest of the game, like, okay, you want to talk about a game that where the graphics really turn you off? Because I'm not going to sit here and say graphics make everything, but in this case, being a 32-bit system and having graphics that bad on the system,
Yeah.
when it looked like it could have been on maybe a Nintendo, pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was,
and again,
was not appealing.
I already hated PS1 graphics to begin with, but
Well, that's the thing. This was a 2D game.
you're right.
This wasn't a 3D game. This was a 2D game.
Dang, you had this?
And I rented it.
Oh, you rented it. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, thank God I rented it because that game was horrible.
Okay, I thought you had bought it to keep yourself
No.
entertained. Okay, rental is fine. That's understandable.
Yeah, but it still doesn't defeat the point that I had expectations of this game and it was ruined.
Right. No, I understand.
Especially after all the hype it was getting in the magazines and whatnot. Same thing with Ark the Lad. Although that one was more of a genre preference as opposed to it being a bad game.
Yeah, there's lots of people that love those games.
Excuse me?
There's lots of people that love those Ark the Lad games.
Yeah, I thought I'd be one of them. I was upset that they never came out in the US, and then they finally brought it out to the US, and I made one glaring oversight on that game.
What's that?
It's a strategy RPG.
Oh.
I hate strategy RPGs.
Do you? I thought you liked tactics.
I don't get them.
Oh no, that wasn't you.
Nope.
That wasn't you.
I am not a big fan of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Was that a disappointment for you as well?
That was a disappointment. But again, that was more of a genre preference thing as opposed to just it being a terrible game. Beyond the Beyond, I could have looked past the graphics and everything, but like just the gameplay overall was just not appealing.
Right. That makes sense.
So
you know what? For me, big disappointment. When Guitar Hero came out, loved Guitar Hero. Like that started me on probably like a 10-year music video game binge. Right. And
like they should have made more sequels to it.
They really should have, or shouldn't have. So obviously the second one came out. Bought that, also loved it. Great. And then something happened. The earth split. Mm-hmm. Companies shook. Things went adrift from each other. Harmonix left, and I'm not sure, I probably did know this kind of stuff. They left and decided to make a new rhythm game called Rock Band.
Right.
But Activision was going to keep on making Guitar Hero games. So it's like, okay, well, now we're going to get both. So I ended up... I did get Rock Band also because I already just wanted to follow Harmonix, and I was like, yeah, the Harmonix is great. But I also wanted to get Guitar Hero 3 because I wanted to see where that game was going to keep on going. I almost said show. And wow. The lack of harmonics on Guitar Hero 3 showed so much. And you wouldn't think there'd be much to just a game where you're just trying to match button presses to the rhythm, basically. But there was just a huge difference in those teams. Something about Guitar Hero 3 was and is and will forever be off compared to the Rock Band games. Like, Rock Band felt like Guitar Hero 3, whereas Guitar Hero 3 felt like, some third-party ripoff of Guitar Hero.
Which is funny because Guitar Hero 3 was my first Guitar Hero game.
Ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I eventually sold it back, and I think I bought it used, and I eventually sold it back.
I found it brand new for $50, so I was like, okay, with the guitar.
Oh, with the guitar. Sure. I was about to say, $50?
Yeah. No, while the games were still expensive, there was a particular store that they were like clearancing them out, and they were $50 with the guitar. Yeah, so we picked it up, and sure enough, that was the price. And now, for me, I didn't see that disappointment that you saw in the game, but then Rock Band came out soon after that, and then did it come out around the same time?
They came out around the same time.
There was a point where I think they were getting ready for Rock Band 2, so I was able to pick up the original Rock Band.
Oh, that's cheap. Yeah, you never had the first one. That's right.
Right. So I got the original. I was able to pick up the original, and I actually enjoyed it a whole lot more than I enjoyed Guitar Hero. Yeah. I actually never went back to Guitar Hero after I got Rock Band.
No. Same here. Like, I would try, like, every now and then if I went to a store and saw a new Guitar Hero game on demo, again, I would try it out just to see, let's see if they've upped their game, as it were, and just, no, there's just something off. It's the HOT. The HOT is gone, and there was just something about just the way that they programmed it. Like, they tried to make it overly complicated, and a lot of the way that, like, Guitar Freaks did, and it's just... like, no, like, Harmonix had that formula down, and it always kind of broke my heart when people would be like, Guitar Hero's the original one, so I'm sticking with Guitar Hero, not realizing that the company that made Guitar Hero made Rock Band.
Right.
Like, that always bothered me.
People become loyal to a brand.
Yeah. Like, a little too... Not loyal to the people that made the brand, just the brand itself.
Yeah, I mean... it took me a while, but I kind of broke from it because, I became a little bit of an Apple loyalist. Excuse me, when I was going to school for my graphic design degree, and it just dwindled down. I actually prefer Android over Apple for the most part.
Finally, we're getting through to you.
As far as the portable stuff goes, I still like their computers better, but But as far as like the portables and whatnot, Android's a better choice. At least in my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and argue with people because it's really what
It's like
your
arguing
taste
with a
is.
drunk person. Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you know, with Guitar Hero and Rock Band, I didn't really have that. I didn't really have that problem just because I never played Guitar Hero prior to that, but I just happened to like Rock Band better, so I invested more in Rock Band because it had more to offer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, trying to think. I feel like I had a whole list of stuff in my head earlier. Now it's just all kind of disappeared.
Yeah, well, I'm sure my lapse in memory didn't help.
No, not at all. I mean, I could lump a whole bunch of games all into one and just finish this off with that.
Action 52 doesn't count.
No. That's not what I meant. Pretty much any PlayStation 1 3D fighting game that was based on a 2D series.
Street Fighter EX.
Street Fighter EX. Fail Fury Wild Ambition. Samurai Shodown 64. Like, all of them's. Just terrible games.
Yeah.
Which again, like the hype behind it of just being like, oh, it's the newest advancement in technology for these fighting games that we love so much, and they were horrid. And I had friends that were like so diehard into Street Fighter that they just kept playing EX even though it was a bad game just because they wanted to be like really good at it than everybody. Like, they just got real competitive over it, and that was the only reason why they were playing it. It's just to be competitive.
I'm one of the few people who actually liked at least the first EX game. I never played the second one. I had the third one. It was pretty bad. But I actually enjoyed the first one.
Ugh, not me. It's just all those games made me sad. They made me sad for the world.
Yeah.
And I was sad for a while.
I do have to agree with you with Wild Ambition. Wild Ambition actually really disappointed me because I thought it was going to be better than that. It's like, it's SNK. How can they go no wrong?
Well, at that time.
That was when I realized that they weren't really good at the 3D stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
So, like, at least, I mean, they've come a long way. I mean...
Absolutely.
The not Street Fighter, KOF 14, it doesn't look as bad as people are saying. Like I said, if you've grown up with like this franchise, you can see what they were trying to go for with the characters. So that's why I can at least appreciate what they did.
Yeah. It's got potential, which is more than I can say for some of these other games we've mentioned tonight.
And another thing, too, which I neglected to mention last time, is that, and this is if they want to do this or not, but they can patch that. They can continue working on the graphics and patch that.
Sure.
You know, I mean, if they really want to. I mean, they're probably not going to do it, because that's probably a lot of characters to work on. And honestly, the new characters that are in the game don't look bad, because, you know, we've never seen them in a 2D form before.
Right.
You know, but
I don't see them doing it. I mean, normally you don't patch character models just for the sake of making it look nicer. Typically, that's usually something they'll do if you have like an Assassin's Creed moment where people are missing faces and stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but I mean, there is room for that.
Absolutely. That's the benefit, probably, of, you know, this new digital era that we live in.
Yeah, because I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5. If you played it online, there was actually a patch where I don't know if it was on Xbox or both. PS4, Xbox, that like one of the updates actually downgraded some of the textures in the game.
Probably so it could run better, I assume.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that actually gives us a nice leeway into something maybe we should talk about next week.
Yeah.
Digital versus physical games.
Yes.
What does it mean? What did it mean?
Anyone who's listened to me probably knows where I'm going to go with this one.
Oh my gosh. You originally had started off as like the positive guy on the show, and I feel like The roles have reversed a little bit.
Oh, I guess just because I tend to be a little more traditional, and I know that it's not going to be possible the way the industry's changing and whatnot.
Sure.
And
Whatever, Gran Torino.
There's been a lot of letdown in the industry lately.
Yeah.
So my outlook isn't all that great when it comes to that. But that's something we can say for next week.
Well, I'm working on that. I'm gonna try and fix that. I'm gonna fix you, sir. I'm gonna make you better. It's okay.
What are you gonna do? Come out with your own game system called the ColecoVision and put it in a Atari shell?
No, they come out with the Dreamcast 2.
Oh, there you go.
All right, be better.
You heard it here first, folks. Menji's gonna be coming out with a Dreamcast 2.
Actually, probably heard it from Keith Apicary first.
Menji, not Sega.
Most likely, right? Of course, Menji. Oh, what games disappointed all of you? Let us know. Hit us up on the Twitters. We are at CrossPlat Show. It's always fun to talk on the Twitters. We love it. If Facebook is more your bag, you can't stand having your characters limited, you can find us on facebook.com/crossplatform show. And of course, if you just want to send an old traditional email, to think like that's the old technology now is email, you can still reach us on that antiquated piece of tech at crossplatformshow@gmail.com. If you're listening to us for the first time, first off, thank you very much. So if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to us, hit that RSS link and load us up on your podcast catcher. If you're on the Stitcher Radio, subscribe, please. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud, subscribe. We're also on iTunes, the Gmail podcasts, all that kind of Gmail podcasts, Google Play podcasts, and all that kind of stuff. We're all over the place. Leave, reviews, and sign up and all that kind of good stuff. We would really love it. And if you are ever interested in listening to any of our back catalog episodes, maybe even some unreleased episodes that we may still have, I think there's one still floating out there. You can find all of those on our YouTube page. Just go into YouTube and search for Gaming Tangents Podcast, and it will actually show up pretty high up on the list. So I definitely made sure to check that out. Not really quite sure what it takes to get YouTube to let us make our own URL, but for the time being, we don't have one. So
we'll get one eventually. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And then if you go onto our YouTube channel, please do subscribe, because there will be stuff other than the podcast coming to it in the very near future. It's things that we're planning on are creeping closer and closer as the year progresses. So we're looking forward to that. So like I said, next week we will be, I guess we're going to discuss digital versus physical games. Stick around for that. October, got a lot of fun stuff. Halloween's coming.
Yes, it is.
Halloween's coming. Got some fun podcast topics and things coming up. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best time you've ever had.
On your face.
On your face. That's right. And on that disgusting note, we're going to leave it there. So I thank you all for listening. Please join us again next time as we hit episode 30.
Woo!
Oh my gosh. We're like well over the hill to 50 now at this point. like we're steadily coasting down towards 50. Can you believe it? It's crazy.
I'm excited and I can't wait.
Yeah, I can tell by the tone of your voice. I'm gonna fix you, Everett. Mama's here for you. Just give me a sign, baby. Give me a sign. All right.
Alrighty then.
Thanks. So anyways, until next week, I am Menji.
And I'm Maverick.
So just keep running and jumping.
Keep platforming, guys.
I did it. Sounds good. Have a good one. I can put the music in myself. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Don't step on the music's job. The music knows what it's doing. Where's my little style pen? Did I drop it? I dropped it like an idiot, didn't I? I sure did. All right, I'm just...
Would you like to play again? You have selected no.